Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wondered how much of a story you feel is truly yours when you write it with a little help from AI? That is the big question a fascinating new study tackled. Imagine you are writing a story and an AI helps you out. Does it feel like your story anymore? This is super important because we sign our names to things, share them, and sometimes even get blamed for them, even if AI helped write them. So the researchers wanted to figure out exactly how we feel ownership when we write with AI. They looked at two main ways we interact with AI writers. First, by telling it what to write through prompts, and second, by actually editing what the AI gives us. Do these things work together or can one replace the other? Here is how they tested it. They gathered nearly 300 people and had them write short stories. Some people wrote entirely on their own, no AI involved at all. Others used AI. For the AI group, they split things up further. Some people gave the AI one big prompt and then got the story. Others gave the AI a prompt, then a follow-up prompt to refine it. And then another follow-up prompt. So, that is the single, prompt versus iterative prompting. Then they also looked at whether people edited the AI story or just took it as is. So you had combinations like single prompt with editing, single prompt without editing, iterative prompting with editing, and iterative prompting without editing. What did they find? First off, editing the AI's writing definitely made people feel more ownership over the story. This was especially true when people had only given the AI a single prompt to start with. Now, about that iterative prompting, it actually helped boost that feeling of ownership when people couldn't edit the AI's output. But interestingly, when editing was an option, the benefit of doing those extra prompts seemed to fade away. This is a really cool insight. It suggests that guiding the AI through multiple prompts and directly editing its output are like two different paths to feeling like the story is yours. They both give you a sense of control and let you put your own effort in, but they do it at different stages. If you can't edit, more prompting helps. If you can edit, that post-generation control is super powerful. But here is the kicker, even with all the prompting and editing in the world, people who wrote stories entirely by themselves, with absolutely no AI help, felt the strongest sense of ownership. There was a big gap between writing completely solo and using AI, even when you tried to make the AI process more interactive. And this gap remained even after they accounted for how much effort people felt they put in, how good they thought the story was, and how much they enjoyed the task. So what does this mean for you and for the future of AI writing tools? If you are using AI for creative writing and feeling like it is your own work matters, don't just give it one prompt and accept whatever it spits out. That one-shot delegation seems to be the worst for ownership. Instead, try to guide it through multiple steps. And definitely take the time to edit and revise what it gives you. For the people designing these tools, they need to build in ways for users to not only steer the AI, but also to directly change the text. The reason we feel ownership, according to psychology, is because it connects to our need to feel capable to express ourselves and to make our mark on the world. When AI does a lot of the heavy lifting, it can feel like it is taking away some of that agency. Remember the IKEA effect. It is that feeling you get when you put together furniture yourself. And suddenly you love it more, even if it is not perfect. This study taps into a similar idea. The more you put into creating something, the more you feel like it is yours, and the more you value it. In this experiment, people writing completely manually had to hit a word count without any AI. This natural writing process, with all its backspacing and reforming of sentences, seemed to really boost that feeling of mine. Now, when scientists talk about results, they often use something called a p-value. Think of it like a flukometer. A low p-value, like less than 0.05, means the result is probably not just a random fluke, it is likely a real effect. This showed that editing made a real, noticeable difference in how much people felt ownership. This tells us that the way prompting style and editing worked together was also a significant factor, meaning they didn't just add up their effects independently. This confirms that no matter how you slice the AI assistance, writing without it still led to much higher ownership. Looking at the graphs really drives this home. The no AI group is way up there in terms of ownership, while the AI groups are clustered much lower. Beyond the main questions, the researchers also looked at how enjoyable the task was. It turns out people generally found the writing task pretty engaging, regardless of whether they used AI or not. So, the differences in ownership weren't because some people hated the task and others loved it. Interestingly, the more people enjoyed the writing process, the more they felt ownership over the story. This makes sense when you are invested and having fun, you probably feel more connected to what you are creating. This was a complex finding. It suggested that for people who weren't super into the task to begin with, the editing option made a big difference, especially with single prompts. But for people who were already highly motivated and enjoying themselves, the impact of editing was less pronounced. It's like the more engaged you are, the less you rely on specific interface features to feel ownership. So, if you want to feel like a story is truly yours when you use AI, the main takeaway is don't just delegate. Engage with the process. For tool designers, the message is clear. Build tools that offer multiple points of control. Let people steer the AI, and then let them tweak and shape the output directly. The fact that manually written stories still had way more ownership than any AI-assisted story, even the most involved ones, points to something fundamental. Maybe it is about the initial spark of an idea, or the deep personal connection that comes from creating something entirely from scratch. Even when you account for how much effort people felt they put in, the advantage of solo writing remained. This suggests it is not just about the work itself, but perhaps the feeling of having originated the idea and the entire creative journey. The researchers point out some limitations. They used assigned topics, which might be different from when you have a passion project. They also suggest future studies should look at longer writing projects and topics people choose themselves. They didn't directly measure things like how much control people felt or how much they felt they had invested themselves. Future research could directly measure these psychological factors to get an even clearer picture. So, to wrap it up, this study gives us a really clear look at how we feel ownership when writing with AI. Editing helps a lot, and iterative prompting can be a good backup if editing isn't available. But creating something completely on your own still reigns supreme when it comes to that deep feeling of mine. It's a reminder that while AI is a powerful tool, that unique human touch and sense of authorship are still incredibly valuable. What do you think? Do you feel ownership over things you create with AI? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this dive into the science of creativity, please like this video and subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more. We'll see you next time.